the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
That's fair. Optimistically, though, Bart Torvik loves St. John's. They're a preseason top 15 team in the eyes of Mr. Torvik. Does that match with what you see for Pitino's team this year? Does this look like a top 15 team? And how excited should Red Storm fans be about what's on the deck here for the Johnnies going into next year?
Well, I think they really should be like at worst a 9 out of 10 excited for this season, because it is a fun roster. I'm going to come out and say, like, I don't buy them top 15. I'm more of like, we'll put a loose run in here, like 25th to 30th feels right for them. Yeah. They were awesome down the stretch last year, and I think people forgot that. Like, they were stomping some good teams. Like, don't forget, they whooped Creighton by, I believe, 20. Right towards the end of that run. Kept it very close against UConn and MSG, nearly pulled that one off. Honestly, if I'm remembering correctly, was that the last tough game UConn played? That St. John's, because none of the NCAA tournament games would I classify as, quote, tough.
Mm-hmm.
So they probably gave them the best run of anybody in March. But the point being, I like this roster. I don't love it because I feel like Pitino made, and it's weird to talk about like one of the legends of the game making a mistake, but he kind of doubled up at point on Kadary Richmond and Deivon Smith from Seton Hall and Utah, respectively. Functionally the same player, just that one is 6 inches taller. Like Deivon Smith, tremendous passer, not very much of a shooter, really reliant on driving, pretty good rebounder for his size. Kadary Richmond, tremendous passer, creator, not a good shooter, very reliant on driving to the rim and getting fouled. Very good rebounder for his size. I feel like they got the same guy twice somehow. And I don't know how that works when both are like ball dominant guards who need it in their hands to be good. Like neither one of these guys really has thrived, especially Smith, who has experience in this at Georgia Tech, but wasn't very good at it. Being an off-ball guard who relies on others to create for him a little more, just not his strength. So I don't know how that works, whether you like, obviously you can't not start both, I don't think, because they probably came here thinking they're the best player on the team, logically. But you can't bench one of them. So I don't know. I don't know if you just like trade possessions back and forth, say it's Rick Pitino and hope it works itself out. And to go with that, I'm not a huge fan of their front court. Like Vincent, I believe it's Uwuchukwu from USC. Fine, nothing spectacular. Same with Zuby Ejiofor, who was originally at Kansas. Kind of fine, nothing spectacular. I do like Ejiofor defensively, though. But this is the classic like, don't love roster, where defensively especially, I really see it. I think that they could be a top 10 defense night one. Offensively, it kind of feels like it's the reverse of this past year's team. They were a top 15 offense pretty much all year, but outside the top 50 defense. I could see the reverse of that, where it's like pretty rough offense, but the defense wins them a lot of games.
Yeah. I mean, how surprising would it be for you if St. John's is just straight up better than UConn, though? That they actually have a better team and they win the Big East over UConn?
I would be surprised if they won the Big East. But it wouldn't shock me if they were better than UConn, just because it's like college sports outside of football are largely cyclical. Like teams go up and down. Nobody stays up top forever. I mean, even Florida went to the NIT the year after their two-peat. So it's not like UConn's going to go to the NIT, but I think this year they're going to get more challenge at the top. Not just St. John's, but like Creighton has a very good roster. I'm a believer in Marquette. There's no way, surely, unless he is cursed by an angry god, that Sean Miller and Xavier have worse injury luck this year. So I feel like they're going to be a sneaky contender. It's going to be more competitive in that top group. But yeah, like if St. John's were equal or slightly better, it wouldn't be the most shocking thing in the world.
Big East is going to be tough. The Big East is just going to be a bloodbath. And I think a weaker UConn makes it more interesting.
I really hope they are. And like, I love our UConn friends on Twitter. Like, they're really funny. It is honestly, some people don't like them, but I do think that they are the pound for pound funniest fan base online right now. Just like the posts are really good. What can I say? But it's going to be, you want them to be like, if they can be 12th, like Torvik says they are, that is the best thing possible for college basketball, because that means the Big East conference race is going to be interesting down to that final weekend. And then
it also means we might get Pitino back in high profile matchups and games and everything else. And I don't know, like, what does that mean for Pitino's legacy? Like, if Pitino gets St. John's to the Final Four, what does that mean for his legacy?
Kind of locks him in as at worst like a top 3-4 coach ever, which I feel like everybody would agree is top 5, but I don't think it doesn't feel like Rick has ever really been in the GOAT conversation the way I feel like some.
But if he gets St. John's back, I mean, we're flirting with that conversation.
And especially having done it at a third school.
Yes.
Well, 4 if you count Providence back in the day when he took them to the Final Four.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like Big East in general, fascinating year where like we're thinking we'll charitably call it a 4-team race at the top with UConn as the early leader. You've got a mid-pack of like Resurgent Xavier, Villanova, and a big-time prove-it year for Kyle Neptune. A really frisky and interesting Providence team that I don't feel like I've got a good read on. Butler in year 3 of Thad Matta. Seton Hall also, in the mix with Shaheen, who I think is one of the best defensive coaches going. And then what do you do with Georgetown and DePaul, both of whom are in year 1 or year 2 of a new coach? And like, were god-awful last year, and now you got to figure out, well, what can you do in an already really stacked conference? Because somebody's going to finish 10th and 11th.
That is true. Final one here. Tennessee a little bit. Is this the perfect roster for Zakai Zeigler now that it's all settled and you've had some more time to think about it? This is the last year for Zakai. I mean, the lobs and just his potential, just versatility with this group and his potential just camaraderie with this group. And just the way I look at it is this might be it's the perfect team for Zakai Zeigler. Do you agree with that? Ryan Shumpert of Right Up Insider sees it that way. Seems like that might pick up more and more speed of in the coming months. Is that, hey, Zakai might be the best player on this year's Tennessee team, and this is going to be a scary version of Tennessee, especially offensively, because there's just going to be so many shooters around Zakai. He's going to have his rim runner in Felix Akpara that he has not really had to this point. Jonas is a good player. Tobe is a good player, but it's just a little bit different. Like he's going to obviously affect so many shots with his length on the defensive side of the ball, the court. But in terms of offensively, it's just a skill set that we have not seen next to Zakai. But when you think about it, you're like, oh yeah, that's the rim running type is actually.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas podcast. Hell yeah.